Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Well, it had to happen no sooner than Tyson Fury had said an announcement for a fight date and venue for his fight with Deontay Wilder would be announced this week. His comments have immediately been superseded by his promoter Frank Warren, who says, in fact, a press tour will be kicking off next week in London, Monday the 24th of September. So I'll get to those comments in a second, but I'd just note any potential clash with Anthony Joshua's fight week activities isn't going to happen, and that was obviously the topic of my previous video based on Tyson Fury's statement, so that will be avoided. And I think that's a smart move because it would have potentially got a little bit drowned out if they were looking to hold something this week, especially in the UK. In the United States, that would have been a different matter because obviously Joshua's fight isn't as highly as anticipated as it is in the United Kingdom. But Frank Warren, so we'll get to his statements now. So talking to IFL TV, he said, press conference next Monday, Wilder will be in town. He comes in and that'll be the start of the tour. So we do London, we go off to New York, and then we do LA. He then added there might be some more media commitments, but at this stage he wasn't sure, before saying, it's been about which venue is going on in. That's really been the main, it's not an issue. It's a nice problem because who's going to put up the most money? Then the video faded to black for a second, indicating an edit of some sort, a stoppage in the video. Well, at least there was an edit that cut out whatever had happened after that part in the video. And Kugan Cassius came back in with the question, has there been any problems in the negotiations? To which Frank Warren stated, no, not really. It's been quite straightforward, and the fight is going to happen. He did add one thing that they have been working on in recent weeks is neutral officials, which Frank Warren says he wants because he wants to avoid the perception of any dodgy officiating. He sort of cited the Canelo and Triple G example. He didn't say that anything suspect had happened, but he says there was the perception of that which he wanted to avoid. And he said the west coast of the United States is the favourite to land the fight. And I'll just add, in terms of neutral officials, Tyson Fury, as I covered in my previous video, he has called on the WBC to appoint neutral officials. He wants one from the United Kingdom, one from the United States, and one from a neutral country. So that has been confirmed now as an issue, a live issue that they have been working on in recent weeks, in addition to obviously setting the fight date and venue. And obviously, one of the things that's also got a lot of fight fans talking in recent days is the rumours of Floyd Mayweather coming back to potentially rematch Manny Pacquiao in December. And publicly, we're hearing that that fight is close to being made. And Frank Warren said he didn't know when that fight was happening, but it would affect everyone, not just the Wilder and Fury fight night, if it was made for early December. But when he was asked about timing, he did confirm that they would never run on the same day as that fight date. And he also said it would be stupid to run them a week apart because both would be on Showtime, and he said, why would you do that? So there's a number of things to come out of Frank Warren's statements that I just want to sort of cover off. So we'll start from the beginning. So the press tour element starting Monday the 24th of September in London. That is good news. Obviously, there's been a lot of chatter, a lot of speculation that the fight isn't going to go ahead. And obviously, the weeks of really no announcements, nothing substantial, that has got a lot of fans. There's been a vacuum that's been filled with rumours. So it's good to hear that something concrete is going to be happening, that a fight date, a fight venue, we will know this soon, and it's going to go ahead. And obviously, the actual date, which is complicated potentially by the Pacquiao and Mayweather fight, well, when's that going to be? And if a Floyd and Pacquiao fight is going to be in early December, you would have to imagine they're not going to want to be within a couple of weeks of that. So does that mean it is potentially November the 10th, November the 17th, November the 24th? So they want to give it a little bit of clear air before competing with a Floyd and Pacquiao fight. And Frank Warren seemed to be resigned to the fact that if this fight is at the end of the year, as is the Floyd and Pacquiao fight, well, they're not only going to be affected, everyone is, so it kind of is what it is. So this is kind of bad timing in a sense, not just for this fight, but for all fights, because obviously Floyd Mayweather, a very big draw, Manny Pacquiao, a very big draw in their fight in 2015. 4.6 million pay-per-view buys. That's the world record, and obviously it shattered all financial records for boxing, $100 per pay-per-view. So obviously, competing with that behemoth is not ideal, and you'd have to say Showtime, they will be going after the money here. If that fight eventuates, they will want it, because no offense to the Wilder-Fury fight, a rematch between Pacquiao and Mayweather, it's going to do the business, and even if it's only half as much as it was previously, that's still mega dollars, probably close to $100 again. It wasn't the greatest fight in 2015. There was a little bit of unfinished business, and obviously Pacquiao was claiming that his shoulder was a bit bung and all sorts of bits and pieces, but yeah, it will have an effect on the numbers for the Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury pay-per-view, which, given it's the first pay-per-view for Deontay Wilder, it's a bit of a shame. Floyd Mayweather is sort of stealing his thunder just a little bit here. It's going to detract from the numbers overall. And I think, anyone who wants to argue with that, I mean, you've just heard it from Frank Warren. He says everyone is going to be affected. And I think it would be naive to think otherwise. So if that fight's made and anything is within cooey of it, within a few weeks or a month, there's going to be some sort of financial impact on any card, any fight within that period. Because a lot of people will be saving up for the Mayweather and Pacquiao fight. They want to put their money towards that one. I mean, obviously, there's going to be a lot of people who will get both, and they'll get other cards along the way. And obviously, there's monthly subscriptions that people sign up to. There's DAZN, Showtime, HBO, all manner Sky in the UK. There's all manner BT Sport as well. There's no shortage of it. ESPN Plus. So there's a lot of option, a lot of cost involved with being a boxing fan these days. And another big pay-per-view on the horizon, that's just another cost for fans to eat. And you do have to prioritize your money, and you can kind of see why a lot of people just go and stream these things, because a lot of people won't be able to afford some of these fights. But obviously, if people are doing that, they're not paying for the pay-per-view, and that takes money out of the fighters' pockets. And that is one of the perils in modern-day boxing at this point. So I've gone off on a little bit of a tangent here. But yeah, I was a little surprised and a little bit disappointed for Deontay Wilder, just in respect of it's his first pay-per-view. There looked to be sort of a bit of a clear run at the end of this year for him in the United States to have a big pay-per-view that had the potential to do some pretty good numbers. And now if Floyd comes back and Pacquiao comes back for this rematch, there is going to take a little bit of shine away from his event. And that in itself is a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. But it's good to hear that there is going to be this press tour starting in London the 24th of September, moving on to New York, and then moving on to LA. And Frank Warren is saying that the West Coast is likely to land the fight. One of the things that's been a topic in recent weeks that they've been working through is the judging. They want neutral officials here. And if it is in Las Vegas, that's generally not something that happens. And Fury, he's lobbied the WBC publicly. And obviously Warren, with these comments, is doing the same. So we have to see where that goes. A lot of people, especially from the last video, were saying, well, Fury, he doesn't need to worry about the judges because Deontay Wilder is going to knock him out. But the fact is, Deontay Wilder has been taken 12 rounds once before. And if this fight went all 12, I think a lot of us, a majority of fight fans would say if Fury is still standing after 12, he's probably going to win the belt. So he wants neutral officials in, judging this fight. Because you don't want a situation where if he gets through their fight, sort of like the Vladimir Klitschko one, he's put on a bit of a boxing clinic, but then he gets robbed on the cards. So Frank Warren, I agree with what he's saying in terms of at least if you have neutral officials, then there is no perception that there's any funny business. And if there is a dodgy card, it just comes down to the incompetence of the judge rather than any sort of corruption or perception or perceived corruption. So we'll have to see where that goes. But in terms of Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, I think expectations about number of buys will go down if a Floyd and Manny Pacquiao fight happens. And just on that, do you really want to see that fight? I can't say after paying $100 back in 2015 that I want to do $100 again for two guys that are well past their prime. and didn't really put on a good fight the first time. It was just okay. And yeah, really, it's all about money. It's not going to be about the boxing. I can't say I'm excited for it at the moment. But one thing that Frank Warren, he wasn't asked and he didn't rule out was, could you have Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury on a Floyd and Manny Pacquiao undercard? Imagine that. Imagine if that lined up. That would be an epic card and potentially a solution to this problem. But, who knows? Maybe he knows that at this point in his career, because he's been retired for, since he beat Conor McGregor a year ago. So a year later, and he's not going to get a year better. Perhaps he knows that if you put a big fight like Fury Wilder on his undercard, paid them well, and then obviously he takes the cream off the top, that sort of fight could really strengthen the event. And then you go, well, actually, $100 for Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, and you get another 2 fights on the undercard, a couple of more big names on that card. It starts to look like a pretty decent prospect, and fans would probably be willing to sort of part with their money if it was a mega event like that. But you have to make choices if it's individual events. Not everyone can afford $50, $60, $70 per pay-per-view. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.